You don't need permission to be great. Let that sink in, not just in your mind, but deep into your spirit. You've been conditioned to wait. From the moment you were born, the system, the world, even meaning people around you, trained you to wait. Raise your hand before speaking. Wait your turn. Follow the line. Stay in the boundaries. Don't make waves. And that conditioning, it doesn't stop in childhood. It follows you into adulthood, into your dreams, into your calling. The majority of people live life in quiet resignation, not because they lack talent, intelligence, or drive, but because they're still waiting for someone to choose them, waiting for the perfect time, waiting for the green light, waiting for some external voice to say, it's your turn. But the truth is, no one is coming to hand you greatness. Greatness doesn't arrive in the mail. It doesn't come with a title. It doesn't show up once you hit a certain age or a certain income level. Greatness is a decision to believe that who you are right now is enough to begin. You weren't meant to live small. You weren't meant to shrink yourself to fit inside someone else's expectations. But so many people have buried their power under layers of fear. Fear of what people will think. Fear of failure. Fear of being judged, laughed at, misunderstood. And so they hesitate, they stall, they rewrite their dreams into something more realistic. They ask for permission to be bold, to be different, to take a path no one around them understands. But let me ask you this, who are you asking? Who do you think has the authority to validate your dream? Because if you're asking people who have never chased a dream, they'll never understand yours. If you're asking people who have settled, they'll urge you to settle too. If you're waiting for approval, you might wait your entire life. And while you're waiting, someone with half your talent but twice your courage is going to take the shot. That's the brutal truth. In life, the bold don't always win, but the timid rarely even get in the game. Every person you admire, every inventor, artist, leader, trailblazer, at some point had to say, I don't need permission. They had to ignore the critics. They had to silence the doubt. They had to trust something louder than fear, their purpose. And purpose doesn't ask for permission. It demands attention. It wakes you up in the middle of the night with ideas you can't shake. It pulls at your spirit, even when your mind tells you to stay safe. That pull, that's your calling. And the moment you answer it, you start to unlock your power. You were not born to be a copy. You were not born to repeat cycles of limitation, passed down from people who didn't know any better. You were born with a unique fingerprint, a unique voice, and a unique impact to make. But you'll never discover that impact if you keep seeking external validation. The world doesn't need another carbon copy of who they expect you to be. The world needs you, the real you, the messy, bold, passionate, flawed, hungry version of you that's tired of playing small. Sometimes the only thing standing between you and the next level of your life is your own belief that you don't deserve it until someone else says you do. That belief is a lie. You don't need a title to start leading. You don't need a certificate to start creating. You don't need the crowd to start moving. If it's in your heart, if it's in your vision, if it keeps calling you, then you already have all the permission you need. You've got to take ownership of your gift. You've got to stop auditioning for a role you were born to play. You've got to stop asking people for keys to doors that were never meant to be locked in the first place. Some of the greatest things you'll ever do in this life will happen when no one claps, no one watches, and no one understands why you're doing it. That's when you know it's real. Because you're not doing it for applause. You're doing it because the greatness inside you won't let you rest until you answer the call. Excuses are seductive. They come wrapped in logic, wrapped in justifications that sound so reasonable, so rational, that you begin to believe them. You begin to wear them like armor, defending your current situation not because it fulfills you, but because it protects you from discomfort. But here's the truth. Every excuse you make is silently robbing you of progress. Every time you say, "I'll do it later," "I'm not ready," "It's too hard," or "I don't have time," you're not just delaying a task, you're postponing your destiny. Excuses are not just thoughts, they are patterns. They become habits. They start as a defense mechanism, a way to avoid fear, and then they morph into a lifestyle. Before you know it, you've built your entire identity around why you can't instead of why you must. That's the danger. You begin to believe that your reasons are truth, when really they are just convenient stories that protect you from risk. Think about it. How many times have you talked yourself out of something that could have changed your life? How many opportunities passed you by not because you weren't capable, but because you told yourself you weren't ready? And the problem with excuses is they rarely show up loud and aggressive. No, they're sneaky. They whisper. They say things like, "Just wait until next month. You'll have more time then." But next month becomes next year, and before long, you're standing in the same spot, with the same dreams, collecting dust. Progress requires pressure. It requires resistance. But excuses act as a shield from that resistance. And while that may feel safe in the moment, it's actually costing you your future. You cannot move forward while you're holding on to the same mindset that's kept you stuck. Growth demands honesty, and sometimes the most honest thing you can do is admit that you've been making excuses, not because you're lazy, not because you don't want it, but because deep down you're scared of what happens if you actually try and fail. But here's the thing. Failure isn't the enemy. Fear isn't even the enemy. It's your excuses that will quietly destroy your potential, because they give you a false sense of comfort, a false sense of security, while time keeps ticking and opportunities keep disappearing. Every day you delay action, you reinforce the belief that it's okay to wait. That's the most dangerous mindset of all, the one that teaches you patience not as a virtue, but as a disguise for procrastination. The people who rise, the ones who break cycles and build something extraordinary, aren't the ones who never feel fear. They're the ones who stopped letting excuses speak louder than their purpose. They stopped saying, "I'll try when I have more experience," and started saying, "I'll learn as I go." They stopped saying, "I don't have the time," and started making time. They stopped blaming circumstances and started taking responsibility. That shift from excuse to action is what separates the dreamers from the doers. Excuses are easy, action is hard, but only one of them gets results. You don't need perfect conditions. You don't need every piece of the puzzle figured out. What you need is to take that first imperfect step. Because motion creates clarity. Once you move, once you take initiative, the path begins to unfold. But as long as you're standing still, stuck in your reasons, nothing changes. It's important to realize that life is not waiting for you to feel ready. The window of opportunity doesn't always stay open, and every time you hesitate, someone else is moving. Someone else is pushing through the same fears, the same lack of resources, the same doubts. The difference: they didn't let their excuses vote. They didn't give them a seat at the table. They moved anyway. You've got to become more committed to your goals than you are to your excuses, because those excuses will always be there waiting to offer you the easy way out. But greatness, that only shows up for the ones who choose discipline over distraction, responsibility over blame, progress over perfection. Life is a constant state of change, whether we acknowledge it or not. The world around us is evolving every day, pushing forward with advancements, ideas, and innovations. But what about you? Are you evolving, or are you simply repeating the same cycles that have held you in place for so long? The harsh reality is that if you aren't growing, you're stagnating. There is no neutral ground in life. You're either moving forward, developing, and evolving into a better version of yourself, or you're falling back into old habits, old mindsets, and old patterns that limit your potential. The concept of staying the same is a myth. Time doesn't wait for anyone, and it doesn't give you the luxury of standing still. Life moves forward, and you either move with it or get left behind. Think about the last time you felt truly alive, when you felt excitement, passion, and energy flowing through you. Was it when you were in your comfort zone, doing the same things day in and day out? Or was it when you were pushing yourself, challenging yourself, and stepping into something new? The truth is, growth comes from discomfort. It comes from stepping into the unknown, from pushing past the limits you've set for yourself. If you're constantly staying in your comfort zone, doing only what you know you can do, then you're not growing. You're merely existing. Growth requires risk. It requires vulnerability. It demands that you become someone new, someone who's willing to change, to adapt, and to embrace the challenges that come with progress. But here's where most people get stuck. They fear the unknown, they fear failure, they fear the struggle, and as a result, they choose to repeat the same patterns. They stay in jobs they hate, relationships that drain them, and routines that offer little but temporary relief. And over time, this repetition becomes a comfort. It becomes a habit so ingrained that they don't even question it anymore. They get used to the cycle of mediocrity, thinking that it's better than taking a risk. But here's the truth. Nothing ever truly changes if you're constantly circling the same mountain. You can't expect different results if you keep doing the same things. If you keep playing it safe, staying in your comfort zone, and avoiding the very things that challenge you, then you will continue to live a life of limited possibilities. Growth requires breaking free from that pattern. It requires consciously choosing to evolve, to shed the old version of yourself, and to step into the person you're capable of becoming. There's a beautiful truth about evolution. It's not about becoming something you're not. It's about stepping into more of who you already are. It's about releasing the doubts, fears, and beliefs that have held you back for so long. Evolution is about unlocking your full potential, about stepping into your purpose, and realizing that the best version of you is not some distant dream, it's waiting for you to discover it. But to evolve, you must confront the resistance. Resistance is that voice inside your head that tells you to stay comfortable, to avoid failure, to keep doing what you've always done. It's the part of you that resists growth because growth feels uncomfortable. But that resistance is the very thing that shows you where you need to change. The areas where you feel the most resistance are often the places where you'll experience the most growth. That's where you need to evolve the most. In every area of your life, whether it's your career, your relationships, your health, or your mindset, you have a choice: evolve or repeat. You can continue to use the same excuses, fall into the same patterns, and keep getting the same results. Or you can choose to challenge yourself, to face your fears, and to move forward even when it's hard. The choice is always yours, but understand this: the choice you make today will dictate the life you live tomorrow. Evolving is not an overnight process. It's not about making one big leap and suddenly becoming the person you want to be. Evolution is a series of small steps, small decisions, and small actions that accumulate over time. It's about making the choice to take responsibility for your growth, to show up consistently, and to push yourself beyond what you thought was possible. It's about being patient with yourself, knowing that every step forward, no matter how small, is still progress. You see, growth is not linear. It doesn't always feel like progress, especially when you're in the midst of it. Sometimes it feels messy. Sometimes it feels like you're going backward before you move forward. But that's part of the process. That's part of evolution. You will stumble. You will face setbacks. But if you keep pushing forward, if you keep choosing to evolve, those setbacks will become stepping stones. They'll become part of the journey that shapes you into the person you're meant to become. And as you continue to evolve, you'll notice something incredible. Your life will start to reflect that evolution. You'll begin to attract new opportunities, new people, and new experiences that align with the version of you who is growing, changing, and evolving. You'll begin to see that life opens up when you commit to evolving rather than repeating. The world begins to meet you at your level of growth, and it responds accordingly. But it all starts with you. If you want to see change, if you want to experience true growth, you have to decide that you're done with the repetition. You have to decide that you're willing to embrace the discomfort of evolution, to push through the fear and uncertainty, and to step into the new version of yourself that's waiting to emerge. The choice is yours. Evolve or repeat. What will it be? Pain is often seen as the enemy. It's uncomfortable, it's unsettling, and it's something most people avoid at all costs. We've been conditioned to believe that pain is a signal that something is wrong, that something needs to be fixed, or that we should stop whatever it is we're doing and retreat. But what if I told you that pain is not your enemy at all? What if, instead of running from it, you embraced it? What if you recognized that the very pain you try to avoid is the price you must pay to unlock your full potential? The truth is, every person who has ever achieved greatness has had to face pain. It comes in many forms: physical pain, emotional pain, mental pain, even spiritual pain. It can come from failure, rejection, loss, or simply the discomfort of pushing yourself beyond your limits. But it's this very pain that shapes you, refines you, and strengthens you. Without it, there can be no real growth, no real transformation. Pain is not the enemy. Pain is the pathway to power. You see, every challenge, every setback, every moment of discomfort is an opportunity in disguise. It's an opportunity to stretch beyond who you were and become who you are meant to be. But so many people run from pain, hoping that they can find an easier way, a shortcut to success without facing the difficult moments. The truth, though, is that there is no shortcut. There is no way around the work, the sacrifice, or the pain. If you want to grow, if you want to step into your power, you have to be willing to endure the discomfort that comes with it. The most powerful people in the world, whether in business, sports, or any other field, didn't get there by avoiding pain. They got there by leaning into it, by allowing it to teach them, to challenge them, and to push them forward. They understood that pain was not something to fear, but something to embrace. They understood that every drop of sweat, every moment of struggle, was building something within them: resilience, strength, and character. Pain has a way of forcing you to confront yourself in a way that comfort never will. When you're comfortable, you don't have to grow. You don't have to face your limitations. But when you're in pain, when you're in the midst of a challenge, you're forced to look at yourself honestly. You're forced to ask, what am I made of? You're forced to discover the depths of your strength, your determination, and your resolve. And when you push through that pain, when you rise above it, you are transformed. You become someone who is not just capable of achieving their goals, but someone who is strong enough to handle anything that comes their way. But there's something else that happens when you face pain head on. It begins to reveal your true purpose. Pain has a way of stripping away the distractions, the excuses, and the false narratives you've been telling yourself. It forces you to get clear on what really matters. When you're going through a tough time, you stop worrying about trivial things. You stop sweating the small stuff. Instead, you become laser, focused on what truly matters: your dreams, your vision, your goals. Pain has a way of cutting through the noise, helping you to get real about what you want in life and what you're willing to do to get it. Now, that doesn't mean that you should seek out pain for the sake of it. No one is suggesting that you go looking for struggle or suffering. But what I am saying is this: when pain comes, don't run from it. Don't hide from it. Don't wish it away. Instead, welcome it as a sign that you're growing, that you're evolving, that you're moving closer to your goals. Understand that pain is a part of the process, and that if you embrace it, it will lead you to a version of yourself that you never thought possible. This is why it's so important to change the way you view pain. Instead of seeing it as a negative force in your life, see it as a catalyst for change. Understand that every time you push through pain, you are becoming stronger, more resilient, and more capable. Every time you face a challenge and come out the other side, you build confidence in your ability to handle anything that comes your way. Pain, in its rawest form, is the fuel that propels you forward. It's the fire that forges your strength. You cannot avoid pain and expect to be powerful. The power you seek in life, whether it's in your career, your relationships, or your personal growth, comes from your willingness to endure the pain that comes with it. You don't get to skip the hard parts. You don't get to bypass the struggles. But what you do get to do is choose how you respond to them. You get to choose whether you let pain defeat you or whether you use it to fuel your rise. Remember, every successful person has gone through pain. They've faced obstacles, setbacks, failures, and disappointments. But instead of allowing that pain to break them, they allowed it to shape them, to make them better, to make them stronger. They chose to rise from the pain, not fall under it. That's where their power comes from, and that's where yours can come from too. Pain is the price of power, and if you want to step into your greatness, you must be willing to pay that price. There is no shortcut, no easy path, but if you embrace pain as part of the journey, if you allow it to transform you rather than defeat you, you will unlock a power within you that will carry you through anything. Opportunities don't always knock on your door. In fact, they often won't. The reality is that most of the time, opportunities don't come looking for you. You can't just wait around for them to show up, expecting them to fall into your lap. If you want something in life, whether it's success, fulfillment, or happiness, you have to be proactive. You have to create your own opportunities. Waiting for someone else to open the door, give you the green light, or hand you the key to your future will only keep you stuck in the same place. The power to change your life lies in your ability to create your own path, to forge your own opportunities, and to make things happen on your own terms. Think about it for a moment. Look at the most successful people in the world, the entrepreneurs, the innovators, the trailblazers. None of them waited for someone else to give them a chance. They didn't wait for approval or permission. Instead, they created opportunities from scratch. They found a need, saw a gap, and then took action. They didn't sit back and wish for things to happen. They made them happen. Every successful person knows this fundamental truth. If you want to achieve something, you can't just wait for the stars to align. You have to go out and create the circumstances that will bring your dreams into reality. But here's the thing, creating opportunities is not always easy. It requires effort, courage, and resilience. There will be challenges along the way. You'll face setbacks, obstacles, and failures. It won't always go according to plan, but this is where most people make the mistake. They quit when the going gets tough. They don't have the patience, persistence, or belief in themselves to continue. And that's why they end up waiting for opportunities instead of creating them. The first step in creating your own opportunities is changing your mindset. You have to stop seeing yourself as a passive participant in life. You are not just someone who reacts to what happens around you. You are the creator of your own destiny. Everything that happens to you is a result of the choices you make, the actions you take, and the mindset you cultivate. If you're always waiting for someone to recognize your potential, or if you're always relying on circumstances outside of your control, you'll never take full ownership of your life. But when you decide that you are in control, that you have the ability to create the future you want, everything changes. Once you adopt this mindset, you need to be willing to take action. Creating opportunities requires hard work. It means being willing to step out of your comfort zone, to take risks, and to do the things that others won't. It means reaching out, networking, and making connections with people who can help you. It means asking for what you want, even when it feels uncomfortable or intimidating. But most importantly, it means showing up every day, putting in the effort, and making things happen. You'll also need to be flexible. The path to success is rarely a straight line. In fact, it's often filled with detours, unexpected changes, and course corrections. But the key to creating your own opportunities is being able to adapt when things don't go as planned. Flexibility doesn't mean giving up on your goals or dreams. It means understanding that sometimes the road to your destination may not look the way you imagined it, and being open to adjusting your approach when necessary. Another important aspect of creating your own opportunities is persistence. Success rarely comes overnight. In fact, most people who achieve great things have failed countless times before reaching their goal. The difference between those who succeed and those who don't is that the successful ones keep going. They don't quit when things get tough, and they don't let failure stop them from trying again. They understand that every failure is a lesson, a stepping stone that brings them closer to their goals. If you want to create your own opportunities, you have to be prepared for setbacks. You have to be willing to face failure head on and continue moving forward, no matter how many times you fall. Opportunities also come from being open to new experiences. Often, we limit ourselves by sticking to what we know, staying within our comfort zone, and avoiding the unknown. But the truth is, some of the greatest opportunities come from unexpected places. They come from meeting new people, exploring new ideas, and trying new things. If you only do what you've always done, you'll only get what you've always gotten. But if you're willing to step into new environments, take on new challenges, and expose yourself to new opportunities, you'll be amazed at how your world opens up. Creating your own opportunities is not just about hard work, it's also about vision. It's about having a clear understanding of where you want to go and being able to see the potential in situations that others might overlook. Vision is what keeps you moving forward when things get tough. It's what motivates you to keep going when you feel like giving up. Without vision, you'll be like a ship without a rudder, drifting aimlessly. But with a clear vision of what you want to achieve, you'll always have a sense of direction, and you'll be able to spot opportunities when they arise. Ultimately, creating your own opportunities is about taking responsibility for your life. It's about understanding that no one is coming to rescue you. No one is going to hand you your dream on a silver platter. If you want something, you have to go out and make it happen. You have the power to create your own future, to build your own success, and to shape your own destiny. The opportunities you seek are already out there, waiting for you to take action. All you have to do is go out and create them. In life, success, fulfillment, and personal growth do not simply come to those who wait. They come to those who take action, embrace challenges, and push through discomfort. Every person who has ever achieved greatness has had to face moments of struggle, pain, and fear, but they didn't let those moments define them. Instead, they used them as stepping stones to evolve into someone stronger, more resilient, and more capable of creating their own opportunities. The key to unlocking your potential lies in your ability to take full ownership of your journey. You must stop making excuses, recognize that pain is the price of power, and understand that your growth requires both effort and sacrifice. By embracing change, refusing to be bound by the past, and pushing through the resistance, you'll find that the opportunities you seek are not things that simply come to you. They are the results of your proactive choices and persistent actions. In the end, you are the creator of your own destiny. The path forward may not always be smooth, but every step you take, every challenge you face, and every moment of discomfort you endure is building the future you deserve. The power is within you to evolve, break free from the patterns that hold you back, and make your own opportunities. The time to act is now. Don't wait for life to hand you your dreams. Create them yourself.